Welcome, friends. Tonight, as you settle comfortably into restfulness, allow me to guide you softly through today's most significant news stories. Take a gentle, calming breath, letting today's concerns slowly drift away. Join me now as we quietly explore these significant global events together in thoughtful depth and serene tranquility. So before we start, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. Our story begins beneath a quiet, velvet sky, draped softly across the expansive deserts and ancient mountains of Iran. For years, beneath this gentle darkness, Iran's nuclear ambitions have quietly simmered, hidden deep underground, safe beneath layers of rock and soil. Yet tonight, that quiet safety has gently, but unmistakably, been disrupted. In the hushed hours after midnight, aircraft silently slice through clouds and moonlight, invisible to the world below. Pilots trained for precise calmness moved quietly yet decisively toward their carefully chosen targets, guided by the steady whisper of intelligence gathered meticulously over many patient months. Their targets were carefully selected, woven into the very fabric of Iran's nuclear hopes. First among these was the Fordo uranium enrichment facility, softly tucked away in a mountainside near the city of Khomasite, deliberately hidden beneath layers of natural stone, designed to quietly protect the secrets it harbored. Yet even such quiet, careful secrecy was gently breached tonight, as precision-guided munitions quietly found their way through the rock, quietly dismantling equipment essential to the enrichment of uranium. The second target lay beneath the sands of Natanz, another gently fortified complex. Here, thousands of centrifuges had softly spun, patiently enriching uranium in a dance of quiet technological advancement. Tonight, however, beneath the starlit sky, these centrifuges gently ceased their spinning, their quiet hum replaced momentarily by the soft, careful disruptions of precision strikes. As dawn slowly brushed away the stars, the quiet shock of realization gently washed over the Iranian authorities. They assessed the damage with deliberate care, softly weighing each disrupted each compromised corridor, each quietly thwarted ambition. Their reactions were softly measured, expressing careful outrage rather than loud anger. Leaders in Tehran moved swiftly yet quietly, whispering instructions to military units and softly reassuring citizens that despite this sudden disruption, their safety remained intact, protected by quiet vigilance. Meanwhile, military commanders across Iran softly activated defensive positions, quietly preparing for possible further incursions. Aircraft were gently readied, missile systems quietly aligned, their careful movements shielded from public view, designed not to alarm but to reassure. Political councils met quietly behind closed doors, gently deliberating. Response is not rash or angry reactions, but calculated, careful strategies of measured retaliation at a time of their quiet choosing. Across the globe, news of the strikes moved gently through diplomatic channels, whispered urgently but calmly. At the United Nations, diplomats quietly convened emergency meetings, softly articulating calls for calm. The Secretary General, with quiet dignity, urged restraint and careful dialogue, gently reminding the international community of the power of diplomacy, the quiet strength of negotiation, and the gentle necessity of peace. From Beijing, Chinese officials softly echoed these sentiments, quietly but firmly advocating restraint. Their voices were calm and composed, gently reminding the world of the delicate balance required in such moments. In Moscow, Russian diplomats carefully expressed measured concern, their statements quietly condemning the strikes as violations of international norms, yet gently emphasizing the need for renewed diplomacy. European leaders softly joined this chorus of gentle caution, their diplomatic efforts quietly focused on carefully bridging divides, softly mediating potential talks between the opposing parties. In response to these diplomatic whispers, financial markets around the world gently reacted. Oil prices quietly rose, reflecting cautious uncertainty rather than outright panic. Investors softly moved toward the safety of gold and government bonds, their careful shifts in assets subtly reflecting global uncertainty, yet quietly confident in the eventual calm resolution that diplomacy often quietly delivers. Analysts carefully observe these subtle market movements, softly advising calm vigilance, confident that while the current situation was gently uncertain, diplomatic paths remained quietly open, carefully tended by skilled negotiators and patient diplomats. The global economy remained gently resilient, reflecting quiet optimism that the careful efforts of international diplomacy would ultimately bring calm resolution to this softly unfolding drama. As we gently step back from this quiet drama unfolding beneath those distant skies, let us remember that even amidst tensions, quiet paths to peace persist, carefully illuminated by patient diplomacy and gentle understanding. This story, while momentarily unsettling, also reminds us gently of humanity's shared longing for calm, peace, and careful resolution of even the deepest conflicts. Take a gentle breath, releasing any lingering worry. Rest assured that, though quietly impactful, these events remain distant enough to softly remind us of the power of peace, the quiet strength of diplomacy, and the gentle resilience of the human spirit. And now, softly, gently, we turn our attention to the next story, allowing this moment to quietly settle into the comforting silence around us. Our next gentle journey takes us beneath the calm night sky of Eastern Europe to the quiet streets and softly resilient cities of Ukraine. Here, under the comforting veil of night, the echoes of a long and difficult conflict continue to resonate softly, reminding us gently of the quiet courage found within ordinary lives disrupted by extraordinary circumstances. Tonight, as stars quietly blink overhead, Kyiv, historic capital and a city that has quietly witnessed both the depth of sorrow and the gentle persistence of hope, softly endures another wave of intensified bombardment. The city's graceful avenues and ancient buildings, usually serene beneath moonlight, have again felt the subtle tremors of distant explosions, gently shaking windows and softly stirring sleeping households. Russian forces, employing drones and guided missiles, have quietly launched renewed strikes, aimed softly yet deliberately at key infrastructures, bridges and power stations, hospitals and residential buildings. The impacts, though gently distant from many, echo softly through the city's quiet neighborhoods, resonating calmly yet insistently, a reminder of the quiet persistence of conflict. In the soft darkness of the early hours, families in Kyiv and other impacted Ukrainian towns have quietly made their way to shelters, gently helping one another along shadowed streets. Within these quiet shelters, people wait patiently, exchanging whispered stories and soft reassurance, gently comforting children who ask in quiet voices when they can return to their warm, familiar beds. When morning arrives gently over the eastern horizon, daylight softly illuminates the carefully measured damage. Emergency workers whose calm efficiency quietly belies their courage move gently among fallen bricks and shattered glass. Their calm voices and gentle hands carefully remove rubble, softly rescuing those trapped or injured, offering quiet reassurance and tender aid. Volunteers appear quietly from their homes, softly handing out hot tea, bread, and blankets. Their gentle presence, a comforting reminder of the quiet power of human kindness. Yet, even as the city softly assesses the physical impact, Ukraine's quiet resolve remains gently unwavering. Their military, quietly courageous and calmly strategic, responds with carefully measured precision. In quiet command rooms, leaders softly deliberate targets military installations, supply depots, logistical hubs deep within Russian-occupied territories, and occasionally carefully chosen positions within Russia itself. Their actions, quietly decisive yet deliberately controlled, serve to gently remind their adversary that Ukraine remains quietly determined, patient, and resilient in defense of its sovereignty. In quieter, diplomatic chambers around the world, peace talks continue their careful dancer, soft and delicate interplay of dialogue, patience, and gentle compromise. Recent negotiations have brought modest but meaningful progress, subtle exchanges of prisoners, quiet humanitarian ceasefire, small yet gentle steps towards deeper understanding. Mediators from neutral nations quietly shuttle between delegations, carrying softly whispered messages and gently crafted proposals, patiently nurturing dialogue that may eventually blossom into lasting peace. Internationally, reactions remain soft-spoken yet firm. NATO allies and Western partners quietly reinforce their support, sending gentle streams of humanitarian aid and defensive equipment. Their quiet commitment gently reassures Ukraine, softly encouraging its continued resilience. In carefully measured tones, Western diplomats urge for sustained peace talks, gently reminding both sides of the quiet power of diplomacy, softly emphasizing negotiation as the calm and effective pathway out of conflict. From nations such as China and India, diplomatic voices quietly advocate restraint, gently reminding the world community of the far-reaching consequences of continued conflict. Their softly spoken warnings call attention to global stability, urging gently but persistently for diplomacy, mediation, and careful dialogue. Such quiet diplomacy, while subtle and patient, carries profound potential to guide conflicted parties gently back toward mutual understanding. Throughout Ukraine, quiet international support arrives gently yet persistently, delivered softly through humanitarian organizations. Volunteers carefully distribute food, medicine, warm clothing, and quiet comfort. Their gentle work often unseen but deeply felt by those who quietly receive their kindness. In communities softly touched by war, small acts of generosity quietly restore hope, gently reminding those affected that they are not alone, that the quiet bonds of global humanity remain resilient and gently unbreakable. Yet, even amidst the quiet determination and soft resilience, the quiet toll of the conflict is felt deeply within the hearts of Ukraine's citizens. Gentle memorials quietly honor those lost, softly illuminating photographs and candles placed tenderly in squares and quiet streets. Families and friends gently gather, whispering shared memories, softly comforting one another with gentle embraces and quiet words of strength. These quiet rituals, performed softly beneath an evening sky, gently reaffirm the humanity at the heart of conflict, softly speaking to the quiet dignity and resilience inherent within human experience. And as the night deepens, gently wrapping the cities and towns of Ukraine in quiet darkness, a subtle calm returns. Windows glow softly with candlelight or carefully rationed electricity as families quietly gather, sharing stories, quiet laughter, and gentle reassurance. Life quietly continues, softly persistent, even amidst conflict, quietly affirming humanity's gentle yet unyielding resilience. In time, perhaps these softly persistent echoes of conflict will fade, gently replaced by quiet celebrations of peace, reconciliation, and gentle rebuilding. Until then, Ukraine's quiet courage, softly resilient and persistently hopeful, gently inspires us all, softly reminding us of the quiet strength within the human heart, even amidst adversity. Now, gently, we leave Ukraine beneath its quiet stars, softly hoping for brighter days ahead. Take another calming breath, and let us continue gently onward, carrying quiet, compassion, and gentle hope into our next softly illuminated story. Let us now drift gently eastward, crossing quiet seas and softly illuminated landscapes, arriving calmly at the Korean Peninsula, a region quietly steeped in history, rich in tradition, and yet subtly marked by moments of careful tension. Beneath the moonlit skies of East Asia, recent events have softly stirred, casting gentle but undeniable ripples across calm waters. In the quiet stillness of early morning, before the first glow of dawn gently touched the horizon, North Korea carefully conducted another series of missile tests. These projectiles, elegantly designed yet quietly provocative, traced graceful arcs high into the serene, pre-dawn sky. For a brief moment, their soft, distant glow quietly illuminated the coastal horizon, leaving gentle trails in their wake, before softly descending, silently dissolving into the tranquil waters of the Sea of Japan. In Seoul and Tokyo, softly vigilant monitoring stations quietly tracked these careful radar operators, their screens softly glowing in dim rooms, noted the missiles' carefully calculated paths, quietly confirming their harmless splashdowns far from populated regions. Yet, despite their gentle landing, the missiles carried a quiet yet unmistakable message, subtle reminder of North Korea's ongoing military ambitions and quiet yet determined advancement in ballistic technologies. As the news softly reached the citizens of South Korea and Japan, it was met with a gentle sigh of cautious resignation. Familiar alarms quietly sounded, gently encouraging residents to remain aware, though not alarmed. Schoolchildren and families softly reviewed practiced routines, calmly reassuring each other in quiet conversations about preparedness and safety. Businesses opened as usual, gently accustomed to these softly persistent tensions, carefully woven into the quiet fabric of daily life. Governments responded calmly yet decisively. South Korean leaders, their voices soft yet firm, quietly condemned the tests, gently reaffirming their commitment to national defense. Quiet diplomatic channels activated softly, communicating with regional allies, and quietly coordinating defensive measures. Military units quietly adjusted their readiness, subtly increasing vigilance without disrupting the calm rhythm of civilian life. In Japan, careful diplomatic statements were issued softly, gently urging North Korea to cease provocations and return to peaceful dialogue. Japanese defense systems quietly maintained their silent vigil, ready but unobtrusive, their careful presence gently reassuring the population that quiet stability was maintained, softly protected by preparedness. Across the quiet expanse of the Pacific, in softly lit rooms of diplomatic strategy, the United States gently observed developments, reaffirming in calm, measured tones their unyielding support for regional allies. Quiet diplomatic communications moved softly between Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo, reassuring and carefully reinforcing mutual commitments to peace, security, and softly restrained defensive preparedness. Internationally, responses gently echoed a softly unified voice of careful concern and calm diplomacy. At the United Nations, softly lit conference rooms hosted careful discussions, diplomats quietly articulating messages of cautious restraint and urging gently for renewed dialogues. Quiet, yet firm condemnations of the missile tests were softly balanced by gentle calls for diplomatic engagement, softly reminding all involved that peaceful negotiation remains the calmest path forward. In Beijing, Chinese officials quietly expressed careful concern, their diplomatic statements, gentle yet purposeful. They softly urged North Korea to carefully consider its actions, gently advocating for diplomatic restraint and regional stability. China's quiet influence, subtle yet significant, gently underscored the importance of maintaining peace, softly emphasizing careful diplomacy over quiet provocations. Similarly, Russia responded in calm, measured tones, quietly noting the destabilizing potential of continued missile tests. Moscow's softly articulated statements emphasized the need for regional dialogue, gently reinforcing diplomatic channels and softly encouraging all sides to pursue peaceful solutions through calm negotiation and carefully mediated discussions. Amid this quiet diplomatic backdrop, life in North Korea itself quietly continued in its gentle daily rhythm. Citizens, softly shielded from the broader geopolitical implications, went about their careful routines. Farmers softly tending fields, factory workers quietly managing machinery, families gently gathering at home. Yet, beneath this calm facade, the quiet messages of strength and resolve carefully filtered through state media, softly reinforcing national pride and gently asserting a quiet confidence in the country's technological advancements. Meanwhile, subtle diplomatic efforts continued quietly behind closed doors, with quiet back-channel communications softly exchanging messages of cautious encouragement. Gentle invitations for renewed negotiations, softly offered by various international partners, quietly presented pathways back toward diplomatic dialogue, softly illuminated in gentle hope. In military bases scattered quietly around the region, defensive systems remained softly vigilant. Missile defense, batteries in South Korea, Japan, and aboard naval vessels quietly maintained a gentle readiness, softly reassuring citizens without provoking undue anxiety. Military commanders calmly reviewed strategic plans, gently reassuring civilian leaders that the careful balance between preparedness and peaceful restraint remained softly maintained. Thus, the quiet story of North Korea's missile tests gently unfolded beneath serene East Asian skies, softly whispered reminder of the careful, delicate balance between strength and diplomacy, vigilance and calm. These gentle tensions, while quietly persistent, serve softly as reminders of the importance of peace, dialogue, and quiet understanding among nations. As we now gently leave this softly illuminated region, we carry with us a quiet sense of cautious optimism, for even amidst subtle provocations, the quiet and gentle power of diplomacy patiently waits, carefully ready to guide nations toward softer paths, where mutual understanding and quiet compromise gently nurture lasting peace. Take another calm, steady breath, allowing any lingering tension to softly dissipate, and gently we move onward, softly ready to explore the next story awaiting us beneath tonight's calm and comforting sky. Tonight, beneath the comforting quiet of darkness, we softly turn our attention away from physical landscapes and conflicts toward a subtler realm, an invisible and quiet place that binds us all in gentle connectivity. Within this softly illuminated space, However, quiet turbulence has unfolded, gently reminding us of vulnerabilities hidden beneath the smooth surface of daily life. Over recent days, a softly yet steadily rising wave of cyber attacks has quietly cascaded across digital networks around the globe. These quiet intrusions, silently executed yet gently impactful, have carefully penetrated essential services, corporate systems, and even government institutions. Invisible adversaries have softly entered through unseen digital doorways, quietly disrupting the delicate harmony that quietly underpins modern society. Hospitals, normally softly humming with quiet efficiency, found their routines gently disrupted. Patient data systems, softly vital to the quiet care provided by medical professionals, became quietly inaccessible, temporarily encrypted by ransomware, quietly deposited by anonymous digital intruders. Doctors and nurses calmly reverted to manual record-keeping, quietly reassuring their patients that care would continue gently despite the quiet disruptions. Emergency procedures were softly activated, maintaining gentle order and calm confidence amidst quiet uncertainty. Financial institutions, their digital vaults softly guarding the quiet savings and careful dreams of millions, experienced similar quiet customer data, quietly secured behind gentle walls of digital protection, faced careful attempts at extraction by intruders operating with subtle precision. Banks and investment firms quietly mobilized response teams, softly vigilant technicians, calmly tracing digital pathways in softly lit rooms, carefully closing breaches, softly restoring integrity, and gently communicating reassurance to customers that their quiet assets remain securely protected. Governments, too, quietly felt the gentle yet persistent probing of digital adversaries. Ministries and regulatory agencies softly reported subtle intrusions, their carefully protected networks experiencing quiet yet noticeable disruptions. Internal emails, normally moving gently between officials, were quietly paused as cybersecurity teams methodically and calmly checked for quiet compromises, gently ensuring that no sensitive information had quietly slipped away into softly hidden digital corridors. Retail corporations, quietly supporting the gentle flow of everyday life, experienced softly impactful disruptions to their supply chains and checkout systems. In supermarkets and stores around the world, digital registers softly paused their usual quiet efficiency, prompting quiet apologies from staff and gentle understanding from customers. Quietly, technicians softly worked behind the scenes, gently resetting systems, softly reassuring consumers that calm normalcy would soon be restored. Behind each quiet intrusion stood carefully orchestrated efforts, softly sophisticated cyber attacks, meticulously designed to quietly navigate intricate digital defenses. Investigators quietly suggested involvement of organized cybercriminal networks, gently skilled yet anonymous groups operating quietly from unknown locations. Soft whispers within intelligence communities gently hinted at possible state-sponsored involvement, though carefully avoided explicit accusations, softly maintaining diplomatic caution. In response, global cybersecurity experts softly mobilized, gently pooling quiet expertise, calmly sharing softly illuminated insights. In softly lit control centers, cyber analysts gently traced the invisible trails left by intruders, softly mapping quiet connections and subtle digital pathways. They quietly constructed careful defenses, gently reinforcing digital gateways, softly patching vulnerabilities, and calmly recommending gentle yet crucial improvements to network security. International cooperation softly strengthened, quietly binding nations together in shared purpose. Government agencies from North America to Europe, Asia, and beyond quietly collaborated, softly exchanging intelligence, gently coordinating responses, carefully working together to quietly contain digital threats and softly restore global confidence in digital security. Companies softly reviewed their cybersecurity practices, gently reminding employees of the quiet importance of digital hygiene, subtly changing passwords, gently enabling multi-factor authentication, quietly implementing careful security protocols. Soft reminders gently circulated within organizations, softly reinforcing the quiet yet essential role each individual plays in maintaining digital safety. Despite these quietly disruptive events, public reactions remained softly measured, gently reflective of the calm confidence and quiet adaptability inherent within modern societies. Citizens quietly adjusted to temporary inconveniences, gently understanding the quiet complexity of managing digital security. Quiet conversations softly emerged, gently reminding us all of the importance of careful digital stewardship, softly illuminated by these quiet but persistent disruptions. Financial markets softly absorbed the quiet ripples of these digital intrusions, gently acknowledging subtle risks without alarm. Analysts calmly noted the quiet resilience of economic systems, softly recommending prudent vigilance, while gently reinforcing confidence in the global economy's quiet strength. Subtle adjustments in investment strategies quietly reflected careful awareness of digital vulnerabilities, softly indicating quiet confidence that solutions and protections would gently evolve in response to these softly illuminated threats. As the quiet shadows of digital disruption gently recede, leaving behind softly illuminated lessons and gently heightened vigilance, we are softly reminded of our shared reliance on these quiet, invisible networks that gently connect our lives, quietly, carefully, and gently. We learn from these subtle yet impactful events, softly strengthening our collective resolve, gently enhancing our digital defenses, softly reinforcing the quiet trust that binds us all together in gentle interconnectivity. And now, as we gently step away from this softly illuminated digital landscape, let us quietly carry with us gentle lessons learned, softly resolved to nurture and protect this invisible yet vital realm, quietly committed to gentle vigilance, softly dedicated to calm preparedness. Take a soft, calming breath, gently releasing any quiet tension. Allow your mind to softly settle, gently preparing to journey onwards with quiet curiosity and gentle openness into our next softly illuminated story. Now, gently shift your awareness toward the natural world, softly illuminated by the warmth and quiet glow of summer evenings. Tonight, our quiet attention turns toward a softly persistent yet significant event, one gently unfolding across multiple continents, subtly felt by millions of people, gently noticed in quiet whispers beneath softly illuminated skies. An unprecedented global heatwave across the softly expansive landscapes of North America, Europe, and Asia. A gentle yet relentless heat quietly blankets the world. Cities and towns gently feel temperatures softly rise, quietly noticing days warmer than ever recorded before, softly marked by subtle yet noticeable discomfort. In the quiet early mornings, when cool breezes usually whisper softly, residents now awake gently to warmth already softly settled upon their doorsteps. In the softly illuminated deserts of America's Southwest, cities such as Phoenix and Las Vegas have gently witnessed days surpassing quiet records. The gentle hum of air conditioners softly becomes a persistent backdrop, quietly reassuring families seeking refuge from softly oppressive heat. Public spaces and softly shaded areas quietly become gentle havens, softly inviting those without cooling options at home to gently rest and quietly recover. Across the Atlantic, gently historic cities throughout Europe softly experience similar quiet intensity. In quiet streets of Italy, Spain, and Greece, residents gently adapt daily routines, softly shifting activities toward cooler hours of early morning and late evening, quietly open earlier, softly inviting residents for gentle moments of respite, offering softly cool drinks beneath quietly shaded terraces. Elderly community members softly receive gentle visits from neighbors, quietly checking to ensure they remain comfortable and gently cared for amid the softly persistent heat. In Asia, from the gentle villages of India to China's quietly bustling urban centers, communities softly navigate similar quiet challenges. Farmers softly adjust their gentle rhythms, quietly irrigating fields beneath softly moonlit skies, carefully avoiding harsh midday sun. Urban residents softly gather in quiet air-conditioned spaces, gently supporting one another through softly challenging moments, quietly reminding themselves of the gentle power of shared resilience. Wildfires softly emerge in quiet landscapes, gently ignited by prolonged heat and softly dried vegetation. Carefully trained firefighters quietly confront these subtle yet persistent threats, softly navigating difficult terrains with gentle courage, carefully containing blazes, softly protecting homes, and quietly safeguarding ecosystems. Their gentle bravery softly reassures local residents, quietly affirming humanity's quiet yet powerful determination to gently protect and preserve the natural world. In the softly illuminated oceans, beneath calm surface waters, Marine ecosystems quietly signal subtle distress. Coral reefs, softly vibrant ecosystems, gently nurturing abundant marine life, now quietly experience bleaching, softly caused by prolonged ocean warmth. Marine biologists softly observe these gentle yet profound changes, quietly researching ways to gently protect and softly restore these vital underwater habitats, gently reminding the world of its quiet responsibility toward careful stewardship of nature's delicate balance. Public health officials softly issue quiet advisories, gently reminding residents to quietly stay hydrated, softly suggesting gentle adjustments in daily routines. Communities softly open cooling centers, libraries, and community halls, quietly offering gentle refuge, softly welcoming those quietly seeking relief from softly persistent heat. Quietly compassionate, volunteers gently distribute water bottles and cooling towels, softly ensuring vulnerable community members remain gently protected and quietly cared for. Energy grids gently absorb the quietly rising demands, softly powering countless air conditioners and quietly maintaining essential services. Utility workers softly and carefully monitor systems, quietly working around the clock to ensure gentle reliability, softly reassuring residents that despite quiet strains, energy supplies remain softly steady and gently dependable. In softly illuminated research centers, climate scientists quietly study this gentle yet impactful event, softly analyzing quiet patterns and gently comparing historical data. Their quiet findings gently reaffirm scientific consensus, subtly reminding the world of the quiet yet persistent reality of climate change. Softly communicated messages gently encourage careful consideration, quietly advocating gentle yet impactful actions to softly mitigate future events, gently guiding communities towards sustainable practices and quiet stewardship. Despite these quiet yet challenging moments, communities gently adapt and softly demonstrate remarkable resilience. Neighbors quietly support one another, gently checking on elderly residents, softly assisting families, quietly sharing resources, and gently expressing solidarity. Such quiet acts of compassion gently illuminate the subtle yet profound human capacity for gentle kindness, quietly nurturing bonds softly forged during quiet adversity. As we gently consider this softly persistent global heat, let us quietly acknowledge our collective responsibility toward the softly illuminated natural world, quietly aware of subtle vulnerabilities, gently resolved toward careful action. Let us softly commit to gentle stewardship, quietly protecting our shared home, softly nurturing resilience, and gently affirming our quiet interconnectedness. Take another gentle breath, softly allowing quiet thoughts to settle into peaceful understanding. And now, softly, gently, we move forward, quietly ready to explore the next softly illuminated story on our gentle journey tonight. Now, gently, we turn our careful attention toward quiet rooms and softly spoken conversations, places where leaders gather in measured tones, gently weaving diplomatic threads, calmly seeking paths toward stability, cooperation, and quietly shared prosperity. Beneath the softly illuminated skies of Canada's tranquil shores, the latest G7 summit quietly unfolded, softly attended by leaders representing some of the world's most influential nations. In softly lit rooms, away from the quiet gaze of public eyes, leaders from the United States, Canada, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan sat calmly around carefully arranged tables. Gentle voices filled the air, soft yet determined, quiet yet resolute as they delicately navigated discussions, carefully balancing global economic stability, environmental concerns, and softly pressing security matters. Economic conversations quietly unfolded first, gently acknowledging recent global uncertainties, subtle fluctuations in markets, quiet shifts in trade balances, gently rising inflationary pressures softly felt around the world. Leaders spoke quietly and earnestly, gently affirming shared commitments to softly stabilize economies, carefully strengthen supply chains, and softly foster resilient global growth. Gentle agreements were quietly forged, softly outlining cooperative measures to gently mitigate economic risks, softly protecting the quiet prosperity carefully built over many years. From softly economic matters, conversations gently shifted toward quietly pressing environmental concerns. Beneath softly illuminated skylines, climate discussions gently emerged, leaders quietly reaffirming their gentle commitment to protecting our softly shared planet, Quiet voices softly highlighted urgent needs for gentle, collective action, calmly encouraging softly coordinated transitions toward renewable energy, carefully gentle management of natural resources, and softly proactive measures to mitigate quiet yet persistent climate threats. Subtle yet impactful commitments softly emerge quiet pledges to gently reduce emissions, softly invest in clean technologies, and quietly support developing nations, softly adapting to climate challenges. Leaders gently outlined softly cooperative measures, quietly highlighting softly innovative solutions, and gently reaffirming collective responsibility, softly acknowledging the quiet yet profound impacts of climate change on softly interconnected global communities. Quietly, softly, discussions gently turned toward softly pressing security matters, carefully addressing subtle tensions softly present across various regions. Leaders quietly discussed gentle diplomatic strategies, softly encouraging dialogues and carefully coordinated responses to quietly emerging geopolitical concerns. Softly illuminated maps quietly guided their gentle conversations, softly highlighting regions requiring careful diplomatic attention, gently encouraging softly coordinated international responses. With careful deliberation, softly illuminated discussions quietly focused on Ukraine, gently reaffirming collective support softly provided to the nation, gently navigating continued conflict. Quietly unified voices gently reiterated gentle yet unwavering commitments to softly protect Ukrainian sovereignty, quietly providing gentle humanitarian aid and carefully coordinated diplomatic support, softly ensuring the nation's quiet yet resilient capacity to gently withstand ongoing challenges, softly transitioning to broader discussions of European security. Gentle conversations quietly addressed NATO's softly critical role. In softly illuminated NATO chambers, gently separate from the G7, but quietly interconnected. Defense ministers softly convened, carefully discussing gentle yet substantial enhancements to defense preparedness, quietly acknowledging subtle yet persistent geopolitical tensions. NATO gently outlined softly cautious yet firm plans to reinforce defensive capabilities softly along Europe's eastern frontiers. Soft whispers gently suggested increasing military budgets, quietly yet significantly softly guiding members toward gentle consensus to carefully commit greater resources for softly ensuring preparedness. Calm, methodical deliberations quietly balanced gentle readiness with softly cautious diplomacy, quietly reinforcing NATO's gentle resolve to softly ensure regional stability without softly provoking unnecessary tensions. Meanwhile, softly diplomatic communications gently extended quietly beyond NATO. Gentle messages were quietly exchanged with carefully neutral nations, softly communicating quiet intentions, gently reaffirming NATO's softly defensive posture, and quietly encouraging diplomatic dialogues aimed softly at peacefully resolving subtle yet persistent regional tensions. Quiet diplomatic envoys softly traveled, gently carrying softly whispered messages of calm assurance, quiet reassurance, and gently extending softly open invitations toward gentle, peaceful dialogue. Softly concluding diplomatic discussions, leaders gently returned to their softly illuminated home countries, quietly communicating gentle outcomes, softly reaffirming quiet commitments, gently reassuring their quietly attentive populations of softly cooperative international relationships, carefully maintained economic stability and gentle yet unwavering commitments to softly address global environmental and security concerns. Financial markets softly absorbed these gentle diplomatic outcomes, quietly reassured by subtle yet meaningful cooperative agreements, softly affirming quiet confidence in diplomatic cooperation. Investors gently responded, quietly adjusting investments, softly reinforcing quiet resilience within softly interconnected global economies. Quiet economic confidence gently softly supported by careful diplomatic assurances and gentle commitments to softly manage global stability. As these quiet diplomatic whispers gently echo softly outward, let us quietly reflect on the gentle power of softly spoken diplomacy. Quiet conversations softly forging gentle pathways towards softly illuminated peace, quiet prosperity, and carefully maintained stability. Quietly acknowledging subtle yet profound significance in softly diplomatic dialogues, we gently appreciate the quiet skill and gentle dedication required in softly navigating global relationships, quietly managing complex challenges, softly nurturing international understanding. Gently, softly, we now allow our thoughts to quietly settle, gently carrying with us quiet gratitude for softly diplomatic commitments, quietly ensuring a gentle, peaceful, and softly interconnected global community. Take another softly calming breath, gently releasing quiet tensions, and now, gently, softly, we continue onward quietly, ready to explore the next softly illuminated story beneath tonight's calm and comforting sky. Now, as we drift gently into the quieter corners of the world, our attention softly rests upon a deeply human story, one filled with silent heartbreak and quietly resilient grace. This is the story of Air India Flight 107, a peaceful journey turned tragic, whose gentle silence now echoes in the hearts of many. On what was meant to be an ordinary morning flight, families boarded the aircraft with quiet routines in mind. Parents held sleeping children, elderly travelers adjusted their scarves, and quiet glances exchanged between couples held soft excitement for reunions or work ahead. The plane, bound for Delhi, rose gently into the warm Indian sky, its engines humming a soft, familiar tone. But not long after takeoff, that gentle rhythm faltered. At an altitude where the clouds thinned into ribbons and the morning sun painted the sky in soft amber tones, a mechanical failure quietly made itself known. The crew, trained and calm, moved quickly but without panic. Their voices over the intercom were firm but composed, gently urging passengers to remain seated, to breathe, to stay calm. Witnesses from nearby villages later recalled hearing a dull, strangely muffled sound, a soft roar cutting through the morning stillness. The plane, no longer able to sustain its path, began to descend with growing urgency. It veered off course, its movement controlled but distressed, before disappearing gently behind the outline of a ridge. What followed was not a fiery spectacle, not the kind of catastrophic noise one might imagine. It was a strangely muted tragedy. The wreckage lay quietly scattered across a grassy field bordered by dense trees, as if the earth itself tried to soften the blow. No flames, no smoke, just the sudden, reverent hush of the aftermath. Emergency responders arrived swiftly but carefully. Their steps were slow, deliberate. The air was thick with unspoken sorrow. Among the twisted fuselage and quiet fragments of belonging suitcases flung open, children's toys resting in still grass, a single, miraculous survivor was found. A young woman, unconscious but alive, gently held by a branch that had cradled her fall, her heartbeat steady beneath the dust and silence. Her survival became a soft beacon of hope in an otherwise somber narrative. Medical staff treated her with gentle hands. In interviews days later, her voice was barely above a whisper as she recalled the moment of descent, the surreal, slow stillness, the peaceful blackout that spared her memory from the harshest moments. Families of the lost gathered at the site in the days that followed. Many arrived in silence, some walking barefoot onto the soft soil, heads bowed. Memorials began to appear, garlands of marigolds, gently hung on branches. Photos pressed into the ground, flickering candles that danced gently in the wind. Mothers pressed trembling fingers to scattered relics. Children knelt by framed portraits. There were few tears, only long silences, deep embraces, and the soft rustle of wind across the leaves. Air India, with quiet professionalism, launched a full investigation. Engineers and aviation experts moved respectfully through the site, collecting fragments, reviewing black box data, and gently reconstructing the final moments. Early reports suggest a rare systems malfunction, something subtle, nearly undetectable during pre-flight checks. Officials promise full transparency and gentle engagement with all families involved. World leaders extended their condolences quietly. India's Prime Minister offered prayers and pledged national support. Messages arrived softly from across the globe, gently worded statements from diplomats, airline associations, and aviation communities. Even competing carriers paused to honor the silence, with airport announcements across the world marking moments of reflection for those lost. In the days that followed, spiritual leaders held quiet ceremonies in temples, mosques, and churches. The names of the deceased were softly spoken into sacred space. Bells chimed gently. Incense curled into the air. Monks and priests and imams offered blessings, not in volume, but in steady, peaceful tones sending those souls gently into the beyond. The survivor of Flight 171, now in recovery, has become a gentle figure of reflection. She speaks softly, thanks the nurses with bowed eyes, and has begun writing a letter to each of the families whose loved ones were lost beside her. "I don't know why I was spared," she wrote in one message, "but I carry each of them with me now, every day, every breath." As we quietly close this chapter of tragedy, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the strength that lives within silence. For even in heartbreak, there is stillness, and within that stillness, there is grace. Take a moment now to breathe, to rest, and to honor those softly lost, not with noise, but with the quiet dignity of your presence. Let the silence wrap you like a blanket. Let peace gently return to your heart. Now, gently, we move forward, carrying the memories softly with us into the final chapter of tonight's journey. As our journey draws near its close, we gently shift to a quieter corner of international policy, one marked not by the roar of conflict or the urgency of disaster, but by the soft shuffling of papers, carefully worded announcements, and the silent ripple of consequences, stretching across borders and into the lives of countless ordinary people. In the still, bureaucratic corridors of Washington, a quiet but impactful decision was made. The United States, citing updated security protocols and evolving geopolitical concerns, has expanded its travel restrictions to include several additional nations. The announcement, made without fanfare, emerged in the form of revised guidelines from the Department of Homeland Security. Subtle changes on official websites, carefully updated embassies' instructions, and softly circulating internal memos. For many, the changes came as a whisper, gentle, almost overlooked, until their reality softly settled into inboxes, embassy queues, and family group chats. The updated ban now affects a list of countries recently categorized under what officials describe as inconsistent compliance with new biometric screening standards and threat monitoring obligations. The countries, mostly from the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Southeast Asia, were not explicitly named in all press releases, but word quietly spread among travel forums, community centers, and social media posts from concerned family members abroad. For countless individuals planning long-awaited professional trips or medical visits, the news arrived not with anger, but with quiet confusion. Families softly folded documents that would now remain unused. Tickets were gently cancelled, wedding dates whispered across, oceans began to shift, guest lists quietly redrawn. In cities like Minneapolis, Toronto, and Berlin, two large immigrant communities from the newly restricted nation's mosques, churches, and cultural centers quietly opened their doors to answer questions. Volunteer attorneys arranged free clinics to gently explain what had changed and softly advise on next steps. Grandparents video called their children through softly pixelated screens, uncertain when their next embrace would come. Students wondering about fall semesters abroad sat quietly in coffee shops, staring at paused application pages. From Washington, officials maintained a softly firm tone. These measures are temporary, precautionary, and revisable. One spokesperson gently stated during a subdued press briefing, the intention, they said, was not to isolate, but to enhance border integrity, ensuring compliance with international data sharing agreements and threat intelligence assessments. We remain committed to safe, lawful, and orderly travel, the statement concluded, quietly appealing to national security while acknowledging the human cost. Internationally, the response was measured but somber. Diplomatic envoys from affected nations quietly submitted inquiries. Some called for immediate re-evaluation. Others gently expressed disappointment, reminding American counterparts of historical alliances, shared interests, and the softly nurturing ties of diaspora communities that enrich both homelands and host nations alike. At the United Nations, softly convened discussions reflected growing concern about the pattern of such travel bans over time. Quiet voices questioned the cumulative impact on global cooperation, urging that precaution should not quietly evolve into exclusion. Human rights observers and immigration advocates gently echoed the sentiment, releasing soft but clear statements encouraging the United States to continually revisit such policies, to let compassion quietly guide strategy. Meanwhile, the day-to-day stories quietly unfolded. A Sudanese father in Texas, after 3 years apart from his wife and children, softly received news that their visa interview had been postponed again, no date rescheduled. In Kuala Lumpur, a Yemeni student top of her class, was gently informed that her research conference in Boston would now be inaccessible to her. "It's okay," she whispered to her professor. "Maybe next year?" A Syrian grandmother softly returned her passport to a drawer, its corners bent from hopeful handling. And yet, despite the quiet disappointment and softly scattered heartbreak, resilience bloomed as it often does in whispered determination, in communities quietly organizing, in families gently choosing hope. Travel agents calmly offered alternative routes. Legal scholars drafted soft appeals. Families practiced patience not as submission, but as in the policy, like so many in history, may shift again. Guidelines evolve. Governments revise. What feels like a wall today may quietly become a door tomorrow. But until then, those affected continue to live gently in the spaces between borders, between policies, between someday and not yet. Let us hold a soft space tonight for all those whose plans, reunions, and journeys were quietly paused by this decision. May their patience be gently rewarded, and may we all remember the quiet importance of inclusion, fairness, and human connection in every line written on a page. Now, with calm breath and a softened heart, we prepare to ease into rest. Let the day fall gently away. You've seen enough. You've understood enough. And now, peace awaits. And now, dear listener, our quiet journey together draws to a close. You have softly wandered through the contours of today's world, not hurried, not overwhelmed, but gently guided through each unfolding truth. From skies dimly lit by conflict to rooms brightened by quiet diplomacy, from hushed resilience in distant cities to the invisible movements of digital shadows, you've borne witness to the pulse of the planet, all while remaining wrapped in calm and stillness. Let tonight's reflections settle softly in your heart. There is no need to hold on to worry, no need to carry the weight of the world. Others will watch, others will act. For now, you've done enough. You've listened, you've understood, and you are allowed, now, to let go. Let your breath slow, let your muscles release. Let the stories of the world fall gently behind you, like leaves drifting through a quiet wind. You are safe, you are still, and peace-soft, unshaken peace surrounds you. Good night, gentle soul. Sleep deeply, sleep warmly, and may you waken renewed, held quietly in the arms of a more peaceful tomorrow.